I'm definitely looking forward to playing them because they're really good teams, right? And I'm looking forward to seeing who out of this top four is gonna not make it to us.
Hi everyone, this is Tom reporting from the LEC Summer Split, and with me here is Kaiser, support player, of course, of Mad Lions, who go 1-1 in the weekend. And I guess the win was kind of expected. The loss is the biggest surprise to SK Gaming. Kaiser, first of all, you now have had a few days to reflect on the matches because we're recording this on the Monday after. But how are you looking back at both games?
Well, I mean, at the SK game, with a bit of disgust, not gonna lie at ourselves, because I mean, it was kind of funny because what they did to us was what we used to do to other people. That they get greedy on side lane and we just start Nash at 20 minutes and just end the game on the spot right there, right? I think they played it pretty well actually. Like they were really decisive in that game. I think, of course, we should. I think we should have won that game anyway. I think we made some crucial mistakes in the early game, especially for example, we got ganked bot lane and he got a double, the Dr. Mundo got a double kill, right, which made the game a lot harder than it should have been. So yeah, I think the SK game was for sure our worst game we had in a while. No shame, not gonna lie about that, right? But I think the Vitality game, I think it was fine from the start. I think we played pretty well in the early game, but I think then we kind of threw at the top tier 2 and they got Nash, and then it was a bit more iffy, right? Like Zinzo got a lot more fat than he needed to be, and of course Merrick then kind of saved the game in the end with Kazi with that shockwave delivery combo, right? That was kind of crazy. I was like, what even happens? Yeah, but yeah, I think we really can't be happy about today's week, even because I think scrims went also not too well. Not gonna lie about that either. So yeah, I think we just have to find our footing again.
Yeah, and it's good that you mentioned the Vitality game, because I also wanted to say that you won that, but you probably I don't know, if Vitality had been a bit more stable, you probably would have lost that game as well, where they got a big lead. And as you rightfully said, Humanoid got a big lead in the beginning. Then he gave it kind of away with an overextension in the bot lane. And then he won the game again, so he give it, take it away, I guess. But talking a bit more about the shape of Mad Lions, because it was expected, at least from my side, once you guys were out of quarantine, guys returning to the stage. Bam, Mad Lions is back, full force. This is the team that we sent to MSI, and that's what we're going to see. But that's not really been the case. So why is that?
I mean, that's actually a good question. That's also what we asked ourselves, right? I think what I identified, at least from seeing the others talk to each other and just play with each other in scrims, right? I think we lack a bit of motivation right now. I think maybe that's because we don't take the regular games as seriously as we need to, maybe, and we don't take scrims as seriously anymore. I think maybe that's a bit of a after effect because we won LEC, right? I think that's when you kind of stop, or not stop caring, right, about regular season games, because you still have to reach playoffs, right? I think that's understandable, right? But I think now I can kind of understand more why G2 is more of this relaxed team, right? So they don't take every game too seriously, right? If they won so much already, that then it's kind of hard to care about every single game in the LEC. Even I mean, of course, against the top teams, right, we try to take it seriously and stuff like this. But I think against especially bottom tier teams, I think sometimes we just kind of lack motivation, and then we really start playing really badly. So yeah, I think we just have to kind of fix our motivation problems, and then it's gonna work better.
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned it, because I think when people think of G2 and understand it, is yes, they won everything for 6 splits in a row or something like this. They won everything for quite a while. But realistically, you guys have won 1 split. There are other teams that are super competitive, whereas G2 in the past was pretty distinctly the best team with very little contest. So it sounds a bit like the team got arrogant, maybe a bit too quickly. Is that how I can phrase it?
Not really. I mean, I don't think we're arrogant. I don't think we're arrogant because we still take the games against, for example, Rogue or G2, right? Like really seriously. Like I think we should have won those games as well. Like if you're being realistic, like I think our early season games against like the good teams were like pretty good actually. Like we beat Fnatic handily. I think against Rogue we should have won. We just like threw the game at like some point, right? And against G2 I think we should have won as well. And then we just like mess up one team fight, right? I think that's our problem is just like sometimes against, as I said, like the weaker teams, right? I think we kind of drop the ball a lot, and I think also like this week's scrims were like really really not good, so everyone was just feeling a bit demotivated maybe, or like yeah, and then like if you don't have as much fun playing the scrims or like playing even on stage games, right? Like you're not going to be as talkative, as communicative, and you're not going to play as well, right? So all these factors kind of added up on Friday and Saturday, and that's why we play like kind of badly, for sure. But I think in the next few weeks, like we should have more motivation because the schedule is insanely hard, right? Like we play the top 5 teams or something with Astralis, so or like top 4 teams with Astralis. So I'm certain that we are gonna have motivation in those games for sure.
Right. Well, that's reassuring to hear. Still, I do want to go a bit more in on that stage buff that we have seen Mad Lions have before when you guys went to the spring playoffs. The patch also fell very naturally into you guys and you adapted well to it, but that was something that really helped you guys flourish as well, playing on that stage. Do you think that if scrims go badly, this stage buff is also something that you just don't feel then?
I mean, it really depends, I guess, on the day, but like usually we didn't really have like terrible scrims, right? Like we usually always won like a few games, right? And like we didn't really like ever feel this before, I guess. So maybe it's just like was something new for us. And yeah, I mean stage buff is still like a thing for us. I think we have the Turkish stage beast, of course, and he played like pretty well, I would say, and like in the past couple of stage games. So yeah, I mean. And like of course the other players as well, right? Yoya, for example, I was really surprised by in spring because he never played a game on stage before, and then he just like performs like this, right, against Rogue or G2. I think we are like all pretty good stage players. So I mean, I would say that scrims are definitely important for your mental, right? If you keep losing scrims, I think it's really hard to keep your mental up, right? And that also, of course, like also translates to stage, right? But it's not like 100% because, for example, G2, they kept losing scrims at worst or something against like Asian teams, and then they just beat them in a pretty convincing fashion sometimes, right? I think it really depends on the team. I think we are more of an emotional team, right? So I would say scrims are more important for us, but yeah, they're definitely like not the end all be all.
Right. Well, because the regular split is coming to a close, I want to talk a bit about the record that you have at the moment and compare it to spring, because in spring, I think I spoke to Karzi and he said, I'm not too worried about spring split results. As long as we make playoffs, I'm confident that we're going to have a good time. Is that do you have that same feeling now in this split with different circumstances? Obviously, that quarantine affecting you, maybe a few stage games only, other teams playing better than they used to. Is that still the same?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I would say that we were never a good best of one team. I think that's what you could see from other splits as well. I think we always performed way better in best of fives, even like with the old roster, right?
To interject, last year summer you were on top of the standings, and then in the playoffs it did not go very well. So I don't know how good that record is in general.
Well, that's true, but I mean, I would say like as a feeling, also what I had like as a feeling I had in spring, right? I think in spring we also weren't like that insane in regular season, right? Like I think most people were surprised that we actually won the LEC, right? So I think you could definitely say that we usually perform better in playoffs. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Kazi in that regard that especially when we are more motivated, right? Like when the games are more like how do you say, when they have more stakes, right? I think that's when we perform our best because like we, as I said, we are emotional players, right? We how do you say? I mean, it's just easier to play when your heart is racing, I would say, at least for me, because I can just find more opportunities. I like to play the game fast, right? And we all like to play the game fast. So it gets easier when you're like more hyped, right? And stuff like this. So I think that's why maybe we are struggling a bit more now, because we don't feel this like pressure on us and stuff like this. And I think come playoffs, when you can actually like if you lose, then you're out, right? And especially against good teams like Fnatic, Rogue, G2, I think in those games we will feel the pressure, and I think this pressure will also move us forward.
Right, so you're still as confident as you have been in the past that you can win the split, or has that changed a bit?
Well, I mean, after this week, I'm not as confident. I'm gonna say that. Of course, like we still have a lot of problems to fix, right? I think in last spring we didn't really have like. I mean, we had like a really good mentality, I guess, and like towards winning and stuff like this. And of course, like we also just performed really well, right? In general, like we didn't have. I mean, we did have happy games, but I think the happy games were not as frequent as now. Yeah, but I would say I'm still like not like maybe it's like from like a 70% chance of us making worse. For example, it's like 60-65 now, in my opinion, right? I think like other teams definitely got a lot stronger, right? Fnatic got stronger. Misfits look stronger now. Vitality, right? All these teams, like they on paper got upgrades. Like Rogue is still really clean, and G2, of course, with Reckless coming in as well. Like they look better, and they also like kind of fixed their mistakes from spring, right? Like they changed their playstyle a bit, and the meta suits them maybe more a bit as well regarding G2. So I'm definitely like looking forward to playing them, because they're really good teams, right? And I'm looking forward to seeing who out of this top four is gonna like not make it to us.
Yeah, well, I think many people are waiting in anticipation to see which 3 teams are gonna go to the World Championship this year. But thank you so much for joining me, Kaiser. Good luck this weekend as well. You're playing against Rogue, so one of the teams you're gonna be contesting with for that LEC title. So best of luck with that as well.
Thank you.